It's always been wrong. I've always been missing. So going back now, we have to start the show now. Good evening and welcome to My Real Portland. We have started the show, and let's begin the show like we do every episode by acknowledging that the land on which we sit is the unceded territory of the Chinook people, specifically the Clackamas and the Multnomah, coming to you live from the verdant green Jade Lounge in southeast Portland in the Buckman neighborhood. It's My Real Portland. I'm your host, realtor in the streets, podcaster in the sheets, Joseph Lyons. And I have a fantastic show lined up for you this evening, including comedian Carlos Kareem Windham, musical duo Complementary Colors, and author and journalist Lisa Loving. And with me, as always, is my co-host Christian Burke, aka Creme Brulee.
Now, what does podcaster in the sheets mean? Because I'm imagining like a talk job of some kind, or you just kind of like getting down there for oral and using genitalia as a microphone.
Well, now
Welcome to the show.
Now I'm blushing already. See, now for me, podcaster in the sheets just means that when you're ready to go to bed at night, you can put My Real Portland on and it will just lull you right off into dreamland.
Have you ever, this is an experience that, have you ever listened to your own podcast while making love?
No.
But it's a good time.
Did you do that?
You know, it's sometimes you want to have, you need your confidence reinforced during sex, and I'll be like, damn, that was a really well-timed joke, and you know, that improves my stroke. Good timing, you know, it's like a look good, feel good, fuck good kind of thing. Welcome to the show.
Is it pleasurable for your partner? Is there a partner involved?
Usually not. You know what I mean? Y'all just put on a podcast while you're masturbating anyway? It helps if it's your own, because then it's like the most possible narcissistic way to pleasure yourself. And that's what I'm all about.
There are actually more narcissistic ways to just than your own podcast.
Oh?
So by the way, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else in the room, let's give it up for Eugene Bingham, the owner of the J Lounge, who just brought me my iPad. Now, I'm going to set this down right next to a whole bunch of gifts. Now, who in here speaks British? Anyone speak British? Okay, you're going to find out if you do or not, and if you do, you might have the chance to win your own home life. Home life journal. Was I talking too loud? Okay. Home life journal. We're figuring out wires today. And we have a bunch of gifts from the cannabis delivery company for the winner of the game show portion of tonight's show, including a grinder, a little baggie, one of these thingies, and a golf towel. Isn't that exciting? And your very own My Real Portland pint glass from with me.
What does British have to do with that? Speaking British?
Speaking British.
Oh, British. I don't know.
Now, our mixer is just going in and out tonight, so we'll see how this podcast comes out in the morning.
Yeah.
Christian's doing a little bit of testing over there. Thank you for that. Okay. The good thing about podcasting is I can cut all of this out. So, hey, fantastic news. The next show that's going to be on October 13th is going to feature the Reformers Theater Group. they have a show coming up called We're All Going to Die. And it's going to be in a storefront in Lloyd Center. And they've got this whole space and they're going to convert it. Like I have already said too much, you're going to need to get tickets. But if you're here for the October 13th show of My Real Portland, we're going to go a little special treat from them. Also, lined up to be here on October 13th is the band Adebisi. Are you familiar with the band Adebisi? Yeah, right? Yes. So, if you're not familiar, about 10 days ago, Adebisi was at the Growler Tap Room, and there was an altercation with some idiots who came in trying to start some trouble. And this band, members of this band helped protect people who were being attacked by this couple. Just on Thursday, the band was cleared by a grand jury for all what they had done, and essentially are Nazi punchers. So they're hoping to have them here on October 13th.
Hell of a press run.
All right. Speaking of events happening in Portland, you had a fundraiser recently for the Rainforest Action Network.
Yes.
How did that go?
It was very cool. We raised $130 last week at Kelly's Olympian for the Rainforest Action Network, which helps some indigenous places both rebuild and try to buy land so the government / cattle farmers can't buy it because you know about the rainforest situation, it's mostly fucked because of just all the corruption possible, just all that. So it was cool. We raised some money. The rainforest is still on fire, unfortunately. So stay woke about that and do what you can to help out. But yeah, it was a good show.
Well, thank you for your work. Thank you for your efforts. It's important stuff to do.
I just throw fundraisers because I'm too poor to actually donate money myself.
Right? And it's a fantastic way to get the community support.
Yeah. And then still be able to write off $130 on my own taxes.
There you go.
I'm kidding.
So, how is everybody else doing? Everybody else having a fantastic Portland? The weather has changed. Are you excited about this?
But we didn't get a full summer. How could you be excited? We got like 2 days of sun and people are like, bring back the rain. This is why God has cursed this city. We're gonna
have 3 more weeks of really hot summer coming.
Really hot, boy.
And then it'll be over. This is just to fool you into a nice little belief that it's gonna stay like this.
I just keep getting told, wait, Portland's got a late summer, it's gonna get hot, and we're in September.
Apparently nobody wanted to hear what you had to say. God heard what you had said a moment ago and was like, nope. Taking that punchline away.
I'm used to it.
All right. Well, let's see if the microphone does better for my first guest. How's that? So my first guest is a comedian who has been... Okay. All right. Well, we'll give it a shot. Are you daring, everyone? Yeah. Are you willing to put up with a few technical errors in a live-to-tape podcast?
This is like Woodstock. This is the Woodstock of podcasts. Yeah. You guys should be going to tell your grandkids about this.
Okay. So, my first guest is the owner and founder of El Porvenir LLC. He is a comedian, a musician, a storyteller, a wordsmith. Please welcome to the stage, Carlos Kareem Windham.
All right, let's see. Let's see if this will work. If it does not, it will not be the first time I've been silenced or censored. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here or anywhere. I had to work pretty hard to climb myself out of my roost, out of my bed today. I am currently, right now, experiencing what my people refer to as a flare. My people, I am an overachiever. I do have a chronic illness. My people are those who have dystrophies. As an overachiever, I picked up multiple. So I have multiple sclerosis, and it means all sorts of things. It does mean that my brain is far more beautiful than yours. It is sparkly. It has the shine and the sheen of Dolly Parton's brassiere. It is Liberace's codpiece. It is Prince's, I don't know what the fuck Prince wore. That was supposed to be about Michael Jackson's glove. Prince's ass? Is that what you said? It's sort of like Prince's ass in the yellow pants, though. It's a bit controversial at first. It makes you a little uncomfortable. But if we just stay here for a minute, you'll be okay, too. I am still walking. As you can see, I do live a spoony life. For those of you who do not know, that does mean that I find myself on occasion, for instance, as soon as we're done here, in my bed curled up, wanting to spoon with invisible ghosts to find comfort. It's the spoony life, so I'm looking forward to an evening of that later. I probably would be curled up in my bed one way or the other, with or without MS at this point, given the fact that we are now all subjected to living very precariously directly beneath a hate and jizz-filled helium balloon with a bit of a pokey hole in it, such that the balloon sort of farts and queefs its hate jizz all across the country, shellacking us all with this Nazi white supremacy shit like a 15-year-old discovering their dirty, stinky private parts in their room. So thank you for that, 53% of white women. Thank you for that. And your efforts. I wish I could say that was a new thing, but you've been doing the same shit since 1968, you racist assholes. Listen, what? We're being vulnerable. We're telling the truth. We're being vulnerable and telling the truth. If anything I say you find a bit shocking, please, again, remember my disability. The frontal left lobe of my brain is, in fact, dead. This means I have very, very little propensity for social niceties. So I'm doing the best I can. I love you, you love me. It's okay. I love white people, especially the children, especially on toast. They're delicious. Because they're supple, they're tender. So, other things that are sparkly and uncomfortable that have been in my brain hole recently, there's this phenomenon going on wherein we live in a galaxy within the Milky Way is there and all the things, right? And there's a black hole there. And we've known about the black hole for some time. And if you are my age, you know that there are rules about how a black hole works, much like there are rules about how a brain works. Brain is supposed to be gray, black hole is supposed to be black. Our black hole very recently decided that it wanted to be more fabulous. Our black hole spat out colors like some fucked up light bright in the sky. And I'm not exactly sure, but I have a feeling it might be connected to the fact that our North Pole, the magnetic pole of the planet, it moved. It emigrated about 15 degrees. And this also happened at the same time that we discovered that the ice caps on the planet are melting at 100 times the speed that scientists feared, and somehow multitasking colonialist white people have figured out how to squeeze in racisms. How do you manage this? It is absolutely exquisite. I can hear your assholes clenching, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I like it. And I wish I had a biscuit to sort of sop it up and take it home in a doggy bag. Speaking of doggy bag, I am curious how it is that as a people, as a culture, you are so resistant to putting your dogs on leashes. But are the first motherfuckers on this planet to put them on your children. You're doing it backwards. You're doing it backwards. Why are your dogs everywhere? Why are your dogs everywhere? I am surprised a little bit that they're not here. I happen to live in a part of real Portland where dogs are invited into restaurants. What the fuck is going on with that? I'm not saying I don't like dogs. I like dogs fine. I'm friends with a couple of dogs. I also grew up at a time when I remember, do you remember Snoopy? Dogs had their own fucking houses. Their whole own place. I was looking out the window at people, a white lady, really surprised, sitting outside of the restaurant, okay? Sitting outside of the restaurant there, just talking away with her dog in her motherfucking lap. The dog was in her lap at the restaurant where she ordered the food. She was touching the dog with her hands that she was going to then eat food from. Her man got an ice cream cone, and he started on one side just lick, 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 and then pointed the ice cream cone to the doggy. No! And the doggy went, no. The man said, lick, 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 lick. The doggy said, and she pulled out a camera to put this on the gram. Again, I am saying it is very clear to me that some people on this planet did not grow up in a religion wherein it is an offense to have an offensive odor emit from your body and God will strike you down. All I'm saying is being anti-Islamic is not helping your cause. Okay? It's just, you might want to get with the program of the clean people. I just think it would be a good idea. I swear to God, why are you French kissing dogs? It is so foul. And let me say this, just for the record, okay? Anybody who might be looking to proposition, I want to be absolutely very clear. If in fact you let your dog sleep in your bed, you've made your choice. You're good. We are good. Ruin everything. Everything. White people ruined Six Flags recently. 4 of them got kicked out. 4 of the Nazis got kicked out. And we know they were Nazis because they, on one of the droppy splashy rides, they thought that it would be a cute thing. I don't know if you know this. I learned this the hard way, allegedly, that if you are on one of the slippy slide droppy things where they take your picture and you know it, that if you give them the bird, that they won't give you your picture. They will not. They'll just pretend it didn't develop, right? If you lift up and show your boobies, some people are prone to, they will not give you your picture. These kids thought that it would be a good idea to give a Nazi salute, which, as you know, is now this shit. Again, white people ruin everything. When I was young, this just went, okay, see you there, friend. Oakley dokley. Boom. I see a white person doing that now. You are suspect. All right? You are suspect. To be clear, the only reason that we didn't do a gun check when we got here is because I didn't see more straight white nerds when we walked in. So if you do see them, do understand that is the definition of therapists, okay? Calling themselves, what is it, forced celibate? No one is forcing you, honey. Just take a bath. You know what I'm saying? Just take a bath. Who was it? It was John Waters who said if you go into somebody's home and you do not see books, do not fuck them. I would add to that, if you walk into a gentleman's home and you do not see wet wipes, do not fuck them. There it is. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. White men take pride in this film. This is what I find shocking about it. White men take pride in the filth. This is part, right? Because the second part of what we really have to face is the patriarchy. And they think being stinky is an okay and all right and functional way. You see them on the dates on the Sunday morning with their straight girl, all very dressed up, all very pretty, and they're out there in their cargo shorts and flip-flops. Didn't put any effort in, ratty ass, baseball caps, sweat stains. This is a problem. Again, very closely associated with the anti-Islamophobia, all the things. It's just a little bit making America great again. We need to get over it. We need to get over it. These men approach me in such way, I make them so uncomfortable. They don't know what to make of me. Many people don't know what to make of me. My ex-wife, my co-parent, I am a marriage graduate. Thank you very much. I matriculated the studies. I've got my degrees. I'm good. I'm done. I've learned everything I need to from the institution. I'm solid. Thank you. Continues. Thought I was gay before we got married. Married me. We were together for 13 years. Continues to ask me about my gender. Continues to ask me about my sexuality. Right? She's not. I understand. I do understand. I mean, honestly, you could take this outfit and put it on any lesbian, and it would just be an absolutely beautiful thing. You know, come on, right? We shop at the same goddamn store. This is hot shit. This is hot shit. I'm comfortable in androgyny. I am comfortable in my sexualities, right? My nail technician is a little less comfortable. A little confused at times. I did not want to come in here with my nails like this. I had to cut them. They were getting a bit too long. My nail tech does not necessarily appreciate how long all of my nails are, given that two of them are always short, and she seems a little confused about this. I don't know what to tell her because I don't want to embarrass anybody. She said, "Well, why are your two nails short? What is going on there?" I said, just for reasons. Just for reasons. Well, what reason? So it's a courtesy. It's just, it's courtesy. Well, no, but what do you play? You play something, don't you? You play guitar? I said, "No, sweetheart, I play clitoris. Can we be done now? Can we be done now?" Saw a little girl looking at my nails. She was looking at my nails, and she looked at her mother, and she looked at my nails, and she looked at her mother, and she looked at my hands, and she said, "Your hands look like a lady." And I looked at her, and I said, "Fuck you, little girl." And now if strangers do ask, and they're not actually trying to fuck, then my answer about my appearance is very clear. I am bi-curious. What the fuck? Why do you care? Why do you care? It is not your business. It's not your concern. And we really need to create more safety for people so that they can express themselves and find a place to be. Right? Find a place to be. I would like to be able to walk into the store without having to have a whole discussion about my fingernails with a dude who's made uncomfortable and insists on calling me man. "Hey, man, I see you pimping, man. You real Portland, man." Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm not pimping. Nah, but I see nails, though. I see your nails, though. Yeah, you saw my nails? Yeah, I did. I saw your nails, though, but I know you're not like that. What is it that you know I'm not like? I know you're not like that. That's pimping, right? That's pimping. Well, it is what it is. Yeah, but your nails looking real smooth. Yes, player, and yours are looking like you would give somebody a horrible UTI. You really need to go and bathe yourself, is what it is. And I'm saying all of this about the patriarchy, I'm saying all of this about race. If I've said anything controversial at all, please understand, it is people that I know, people that I understand, right? Portland refers to itself as the whitest city in America. Which, first of all, weird flex, fuck you, okay? Second, you are not the whitest city in America. I was born in Boulder, Colorado, okay? No, fuck you. I'm a negative. I love you. I have MS. Boulder, Colorado is 97% white. Portland is 83% white with the highest per capita immigrant rate in the entire United States. 97% white. Even the snow was white. What I'm saying is that I know you. I know your languages. I know your musics of Arctic Monkeys. I know about the Arctic Monkeys. and where they climb and such. You know, I'm a bit of the Jane Goodall of white people. Think of me like that. Think of me as the Jane Goodall of white people. You think she fucked those monkeys? No? Well, explain Planet of the Apes then. Fuck you. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Are you kidding? Jimmy John's is fucking Wales ranking. Right now, the sandwich boy. You can see photos of it on the internet. Look in your little phone. It is happening. White people have been known to fuck sheep. You're telling me that this single person went out there with the fantasy of Tarzan and Jane by herself for 30 years, taught Coco how to talk, and they didn't nibble each other. This is the philosophy. Fuck out of here. I told you I'm the Jane Goodall of white people. I deal with white ladies in the high school. I know. Jane gets lonely. It's that way. That's how the fantasy is born. What I'm saying is we've got to get past all of these borders, past all of these discrepancies, because please remember again, that black hole in the sky lit up. The space monkeys are fucking coming, and we had better get ready. Thank you very much. My name is Carlos.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Kareem Windham! Have a seat, Carlos. All right. Thank you. So, real time, in the last 24 hours, Carlos and I have just been going at it with some jerk online on Facebook who took issue with a story that I shared. My friend Charmian and I were out on the Wildwood Trail in beautiful Forest Park on Friday morning. We once a week get together for this beautiful hike somewhere in town just to kind of reconnect with the earth, you know. She brought her dog, Fleetwood, named after Fleetwood Mac. On a leash, we're walking.
White people music, I know that. See?
Right?
See? I grew up around.
And by the third dog that had just run up to us without a leash, I figured, okay, I might as well just go ahead and say something like that. You know, dogs are required to be on a leash on this trail. And the response to me from the humans was, "You don't seem like a very happy person." Which is just not the right response. You know, the response is, "Oh, hey, thank you for the reminder. I'll put the dog on." So anyhow, some privileged white guy needed to tell us both about. After I unfriended him, he sent me a message.
Oh, for real?
He dived into my DMs with like messages telling me how thin of a skin I have and how I really should be putting up with his kind of bullying behavior, and it was just the most ridiculous.
That's their argument. I like that argument.
Uh-huh.
I think it's smooth. I have a policy when people start trolling me. Is on my page, you can say to me whatever you want to, right? Like I say things that I have learned from Facebook's policy. I have spent a good 90 days in the last year in Facebook jail for saying white. That people have sensitivities. Mm-hmm. I have learned that the trolls have sensitivities, and my policy is that you're welcome to say anything you want to me. You say anything to anybody else on my page, then you have just gotten a ticket to the block party.
Right.
And you're blocked, we're done, I'll mute you, we're through. This guy was trolling me, though, not on my page, he was trolling me on your page. So that was a new one for me. That was interesting. I had to troll on somebody else's socials before.
Speaking of having opinions and being open to changing them, you wrote an article in 2017 about your openness to changing your opinion on an artist that you had been following. Remember what that was, who that was? It was a whole.
It could have been any number of people, quite honestly. I don't know exactly. Was this about Kobe or was this about?
That's it. It was the one about Kobe Bryant, right?
Yeah.
And about having been a supporter and then recognizing, wait a minute.
I found myself in a fucked up conversation. Okay, so men are trash, and we're trained to be, right? And we're trained very deeply to intellectualize and excuse and explain our trashiness. And I was out with my co-conspirator, my collaborator in the band that I'm in, my band Wallace.
With Eric Moss.
Yes, yeah, we were out at breakfast. And out of nowhere, when absolutely no one asked me shit about it, I started going off on, oh God, I hate myself. I started going off on not believing the accuser because she had made some horrible accusations against people that were false early in her life. And so therefore everything else she said was invalid, was my what I then called logic. And that splinter kind of stuck in my brain after our breakfast. And I was doing a training later that week, and I realized in the training, as I was talking about never punching down and censoring the most impacted, and always listening to people who've been under the systems of oppression, what I had done. And I started weeping during the training, and I was like, oh shit, I need to atone, I fucked up. And so, yeah, I wrote that article in response to that after my actual face-to-face apology, because apologies without action doesn't really mean shit. And so the next part of it was exposing myself through that article. And since then, when I see my contemporaries saying the name of number 24, I simply refer to him as the rapist on the rapist. So things have changed for me a bit in terms of that.
I grew up on watching the Cosby Show.
Yeah, don't clap for that shit.
Right?
Because that's like raising the bar to the very like baseline of like what it means to be a human, right? And make it applauded for that shit. That's not that doesn't help. Right? That doesn't help. I don't need any cookies for that. I had to atone because I was complicit. I was a supporter, right? And I don't like saying that, and I'm realizing as I'm saying that this is being recorded for broadcast. And the fact is that's who I was, that's what it was, and coming to terms with that is the process that, right, even in the set that I did and in the work that I do, I'm trying to encourage any of us who have unearned and undeserved privilege to examine and to challenge, right? Because otherwise we're not going to find a place of common understanding and connection. And so,
and in which case you're actually using comedy as an extension of the activism that you've been doing for your whole life, right?
Yeah, it's kind of, yes, it's an outlet, right? Like it's a way for me to be able to say all the shit that not all the shit that I don't say in trainings, because quite a lot of this is for anybody who's been on my trainings, very much what I say. But this is sort of a decontextualized version of that and distilled, right? So this is the whiskey version. This is take a shot, and we'll get in there. What's somebody phone on? Somebody went boop boop boop. Fix it.
So your startup in stand-up is an interesting path, and it started because of an interaction with a previous guest. What's that? Oh yeah, welcome everybody who's just joined us.
Welcome. I don't like it when people gotta come in the room and pretend like it's not happening, like we all supposed to act like we didn't just see each other. So people walked in. Hello.
Most important people in the
Thank
room.
you for being here.
You know.
Appreciate that. What did you? I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Your start in stand-up was an interesting path involving a previous guest of My Real Portland.
Yeah, I got, I for a long time I framed it as getting bullied into it. I guess I got invited. I have been on Jason's show. I have been on Minority Report. When was I on it? I don't know. I was on it like years ago. And I actually, for reasons, because it's too political to the real point, but for reasons, at the station where he works, he was the only person that I was willing to interview with when I was doing that. And so we met and we interviewed. And after that interview, he then, about a year later, asked me back to interview just to talk. In between that time, though, he invited me to be on a show called Black and Tours. And I got there, and I didn't know what it was. And he said it was kind of like open forum storytelling and this and that. And I tried to write bullet points before I went, and I couldn't come up with anything. And I got there, and it was like all these comedians that I know from the scene, and he introduced us all, and he got to the end of it, and he goes, all right, and then you're last. And I was like, wait, what? Is that whole right now? And he's like, yeah, you're last, and then we'll close out, and it's gonna be fine. And I was like, all right. And he's like, yeah, no, you're gonna be good. I was like, okay, cool. So 6 minutes, right? And he's like, that's for them. Go as long as you want. And then walked off. And I was like, what is this bullshit? I don't want to do this. I don't know what we're doing. And I went up and I talked about the first experience I had getting tattooed. And I talked the way that I talked and people were laughing. And I had, for a very long time, dreamed of taking up a sixth career change or evolution. And I had very intentionally held myself back from it because I respect the craft so much that I was like, yo, I can't set up, punch, like that's not me. I'm not that dude, so I'm not gonna do it, right? And I did it that night. And then I hear that for some people, if they were to smoke marijuana, for instance, during the daytime, when they were like 18 or 19 in college, and then maybe decided that they were just gonna live that way, and maybe are so high now that they're talking about it, that I adapted to it like that very quickly. There we go. And found myself hitting just about every open mic I could. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I was being invited into circles that I admire very, very deeply. And in particular, got to sit in for my girl Julia Mylan at her open mic, hosting a queer open mic. And I take that honor very, very seriously. And got to sort of be the Joan Rivers to her Johnny Carson for 2 weeks of that night.
Very cool.
Yes.
So speaking of being invited into the rooms, have you found any conflict doing comedy in town, or has it all been wide open doors?
People are people, and so I'm not for everybody. I have learned that the words that come out of my mouth end up controversially in people's ear holes. I don't really have another way to speak. I'm pretty consistent, but it's not a flavor. But, I'm expecting that at some point, and part of where the gun check thing came from is that one, from white people shooting everything, but two, from realizing that given the veracity of the things that I believe in the way that I believe them, as I speak what I speak, there's going to be some point where someone's going to come up and punch me dead ass in my mouth. And so I'm aware that there's going to be that happening. People in clubs in particular are not always gentle. And increasingly, I truly hope that people have at least the sense to adapt the policies of Kroger's and Walmart and just check white nerds' guns before they come up in a club, because it can end very differently for myself and many other comedians that I have seen, Chris.
Oh, absolutely, and it's something that I think about when I put the show on, and it's a lucky thing to have to think about everyone's safety in here. By the way, I am thinking about it. By the way, I just have to pause. One of the reasons why I started the show is because my grandma had a big round table, and she always had people over to visit, and we would all sit around the round table, and we'd just add chairs until we were all sitting in a circle. My grandma always wore big, giant rings. And so looking at your hand right now with all of these giant rings just is so reminiscent of my grandma. And so it just makes me feel all very, very, very
That
happy.
makes me feel very, I like that a lot. I love that energy.
Now
The first ring in
family
this collection
show.
is actually from my mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've always, when I was like 8, we were in the amusement park and doing the fishing shits, right? This little fake thing. And I figured out what the rig was and I started winning. And so I got a bunch of prizes and all I got was rings. And my father called me saying, he gave us Junior. And my mother, though, is a real gypsy, right? Real coyote from Las Vegas, New Mexico. And so she was just always covered in rings. And for a very long, it was about a decade that I had stopped decorating myself. But when she passed last year, a little bit after that, I had gotten that ring, and her spirit just sort of exploded all over my fingers. And so, yeah, I love it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it when family comes together on the show, even unexpectedly like that. So, speaking of family, where can your family follow you, catch you on your next show, and all of that good stuff?
Catching me on my next show is, so here's one of the gifts of MS is that I cannot keep my schedule straight at all. What I would say though is that I have a website that will be going up within the next week or two. In the meantime, I am still, at least presently, free on Facebook, and if you look up my full name, Kareem Windham, very findable there. On the gram, I am, let's see, I think it's Caballo Negrito on Instagram, and it's El Caballo Negrito on Twitter. And for the monolingual, that is El Caballo Negrito, ELCABALLO, Negrito. Yeah, El Caballo Negro was taken.
I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
So, you know what that sound means?
I don't know. I'm dancing.
That means it's time for the Portland questionnaire.
All right.
So,
Okay.
this is the Portland questionnaire based on the famous Proust and Lipton questionnaires. Lipton questionnaires. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
All right. What's your favorite smell in Portland?
Damp cigarette butts.
Favorite smell?
Well, I mean, it makes me think of Portland.
Oh.
Right? Like, if I smell that shit, I'm like, that's Portland for real.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what happens. Like, you're 15 and you live in Portland, you get issued a pack of cigarettes and a tattoo gun. So, I'm good with it. I rode on, and ride on TriMet. So it is a fragrance that for me says you are in Portland.
This is home. Yeah. So also speaking of home, what's your favorite sound in Portland?
Ooh, favorite sound in Portland. Honestly, is the sound of children in playgrounds, and in particular when I am hearing my child playing with other kids and she doesn't know I'm there. That is the best sound that I hear in Portland.
What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
Steel Bridge.
What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet?
Ooh, what famous Portlandian would I like to meet? I would love to, oh my God, why am I blanking my brother's name? Oh, don't do this to me. It fell in my MS brain hole now. I see his face. Ron, is that right? Am I saying it right? Comedian?
Ron.
Thank you. Good Lord. Oh my God. Y'all don't get MS. If you can help it, I highly suggest skipping over it. That shit is frustrating as shit.
I was thinking about getting it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No. You can pick it up at the same line where they have the free movie. Don't. You just skip it. Skip it.
Okay, you're the first person to actually mention Ron Funches, so thank you for that.
Yeah, Ron Funches. Ron Funches!
Oh my god.
Edit it in that way, because otherwise this. Ron Funches, that nigga's funny! I can say that. Y'all can't say that shit. It keeps my teeth clean. I love it.
Where are we most likely to find you for weekend brunch?
For weekend brunch, you're not gonna find me for weekend brunch. Fuck that shit. It's white people with their dogs kissing their face. Weekday brunch, you'll find me at Hellsworth's. Aside from, but not you ain't finding me weekend brunch. That's how.
Very good. If you could rename any Portland street, which street and for who?
Who? If I could rename. Okay. All right. I would rename Cooch Street, both for the sound of the street and the fact that the word is couch. And I'm not mad at it. My father's from New York, Houston, Houston. I mean, you do what you do, but no. I would bounce that out. And for me, I would want to name that after Octavia Butler.
Lovely. If you were a tree, which Portland area park would you like to be planted in?
Kenton Park.
Kenton. That's a quick answer.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time there?
When I moved here, I moved to North Portland, actual North Portland, not Northeast Portland. I moved to North Portland. I lived there very, very on purpose. It was a blacker neighborhood when I got there, and then we got I can't remember if it was a donut shop or a tattoo shop was the first one. But whenever one of them shit show up, you know it's a wrap. You know it's a wrap. You're being gentrified, right? Like faster than my beard. Like it's just white, just jumping in, all uninvited. But then we moved over to Northeast, and it was still at that point very black. And my across the street neighbors was this Trucho garage that had a portrait of Tupac on it, and you know. It was not referred to yet as the artist district, whatever the fuck white people named it. But that's different now too. Yeah, that's different now too. Now, especially since they did on that TV show, motherfuckers be all over. I'm not even gonna micro advertise for them. A place that is on a TV show and just tourists is just there taking pictures. And you can tell who's a tourist because they don't know how to cross the street. They cross, well, it's like white people don't know how to cross the street Portland style, right? Because white people in Portland are brave as fuck. Y'all will just cross the street. If you from here, I can tell. Because y'all don't give a fuck. You just walk out in the street like it ain't shit, right? But black people know better, right? Black people know better because y'all don't give a fuck. It's like a nigga Frogger. If you out there like, you know, you gotta be very, very safe. And y'all got weird ways of like pretending you didn't see us and shit. Like the little L liberal pretend, right? When y'all drive by like, oh, I'm sorry. No, you're not. No, you're fucking, just drive. Just drive on. I would just much rather somebody just look at me and be like, fuck you, nigga. Like that would be more, your palatable racism is much worse. It's like eating a chocolate-covered cricket or some shit. Like, you know, at first it's nice, but then I'm like, you really being nice? Why'd you run over my toes? So, what was the question?
I think it was if you want to be a tree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm a tree.
And then the tree said, if you want to be racist, be overtly racist.
Right.
And
just go for it. Just let me know.
Life lessons from Carlos.
Let me know.
All right. Anything else for Carlos?
What are your favorite and least favorite group of white people?
Ooh, there's so many flavors. You know what though? Because of the recent white on white violence in Portland, I gotta say anarchist is my favorite flavor. I wish Ben and Jerry's made a flavor like that. You know, I imagine it had
Tastes like
grape
some-
nuts in it.
And like cement.
Right. You melt it down, you know. I like that flavor of white people the best. You know, anarchists and radical white people. White people who, when you say white people, they don't get tense. You know what I mean?
They make those?
You know what I mean? They make some. They make some. I know 3. I know 3. I'm gonna get a half a dozen soon. I'm collecting them.
Put them in resin.
Right? Like the little Negro dolls. I'm collecting white people. Put them on my shelf. I'm gonna put one in my lawn.
All right, well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else in the room, Carlos, Kareem, Windham. Well, my next guest and I go way back to a fundraiser. What was that? We'll edit all of this out, by the way. Before this, what was the fundraiser where it's on the air? What is that?
It's the membership drive.
A membership
It's the
drive.
fucking happy membership party. That's the way I think.
Exactly. Okay. My next guest and I met while we were volunteering for the membership drive for a local radio station, getting local members to be able to pay and contribute to a local media station that produces local news and shares with us music and different current events. And I learned from this guest how to be able to take the news that I am observing in the world and be able to put it down into a concise story and into something that can go out on the air within a couple of hours. She is a remarkable woman. She is the author of Street Journalist. Please welcome to My Real Portland, Lisa Loving. Oh my gosh, it is so nice to have people in the room who know that microphones can just suddenly go out on you without any word, right?
Shit happens.
Shit happens. So what happens to you when you're out in the field and you are trying to gather some very important news piece and you're recording information, stuff goes down? How do you take care of yourself? Are
You want to
prepared
have
for that?
extras. You want to have 3. I'm neurotic, so I spent 10 years as the news editor at the Scanner newspaper in North Portland. And when I went out to cover stuff for the newspaper, I'd have my cell phone, I'd have a camera, and I'd have some dumb piece of shit thing that would also record something. You know, did anybody have a flip camera? Do you remember these? They were brilliant. I still have mine. Like, I could pull it out, I hug it. Like, some rich guy bought flip and killed it. Hello. Google does that to a lot of journalism tools as well. Somebody creates some fantastic software, does something great. Google buys it, they gut it, and incorporate it into what they were already doing.
Right.
But the key, I want to make another suggestion to you though.
Yeah.
Get somebody else to do the tech.
Oh, I
And you
know.
just sit over here and do your makeup.
Oh, that's how I started the show, but then they were turning me on. So I
yeah.
thought, maybe I can do it.
And you can. You
Yeah, I'm
are.
going back to post.
And you are. But the key is to have backup.
Right. So, you are the author of Street Journalist. Tell us about this book. How does this come about?
I am a nerd. I've been a journalist since I was 14 years old. Not a bad nerd. I'm not a bad nerd. I'm not one of those. Squirt gun, maybe, I don't know. But I've been a journalist since I was 14 years old. And but I spent many years actually also volunteering and working at KDOL Community Radio. And what I did a lot of the time was I trained people, right? Just like you. Mm-hmm. Wonderful, incredible people. My God. I met the most wonderful people at that radio station. 51 years on the air now. And so, and in our newsroom at KDOL, it's everyday people. It's people that work at Costco. It's people that work at the Pearl Bakery. Al Khan works at a pub by the, the place where the soccer games happen. It's all kinds of people, teenagers too. And really, the most important thing about journalism is it's not fucking brain surgery. It's not. You don't need to go. I love the University of Oregon. I went there. But you don't have to go into debt $50,000 to learn how to do this. And if you do, you're not going to get a job that pays for it, by the way, right? our entire news industry is collapsing. Actually, kind of a lot of different industries are collapsing all across our society, not just media.
That's right.
But I think that also because I worked in community media so long, I see all the stories that are not being told. And as Carlos was talking about having MS, did you know that the Pacific Northwest is a hotspot for MS, and nobody knows why? And so someone who was interested in doing reporting from their personal experience, that's a public health issue, you can totally do that. Other people can, other people do. But the most important thing is that we're not really learning about all the things that are happening around us, right? Have you been following the vape pen thing?
Yeah.
I love this show because I've got such a dirty mouth. Who's been following the vape pen thing? Right? 5 people dead, might be 6 people dead. Did you know that San Francisco banned e-cigarettes in June? Fucking I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
Mhm.
Who has the biggest vape pen collection in the world? Right? You know, and I mean, so I throw that stuff out. It's like we have to write and bring this information from our own experience. And I'm thinking about writing a book called Now That It's Legal, How Do I Quit? Okay. When do we hear even talking about that? You know that there's all kinds of people taking those fucking vape pens with just the CBGBs in it, no THC, because they can't sleep at night. Well, I mean, what's in the liquid? So that's just one story. You know, who's most impacted by those Juul, J-U-U-L things? It's kids. Who are most of the people that have gotten sick from these vape pens? It's young men.
Right.
It's totally healthy young men. And a lot of them are teenagers, and all over the country, people live in places where THC is not legal. So the health, what the president has done to really important industry, agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, totally sabotage those things. So, and we can't even admit that it's okay on the federal level to take THC. So a lot of these people, it's like 500, 600 people sick in the hospital with lung infection, but they don't even feel safe telling the doctor that they've been smoking THC.
Right.
It's fascinating. So these are the kind of stories, like, they're not really being told that well. The Washington Post, CNN are covering this issue. They don't even know what these words mean. Okay? They don't.
Right.
And so the people that know it the most are people like us, right? So honestly, the point of this book is that we need more journalists. And you know, even the journalists that are paid right now, there's trapdoors under every one of them, right? I mean, when was the last time the Oregonian did a great big purge of their newsroom? Was it a year ago? A couple of years ago? And I mean, I could complain about, you know, when's the Oregonian a daily last? The Oregonian has not been a daily in years. Did anybody know that? You can't even buy paper copies of it in parts of the state. But I'm just saying, yeah, hell yeah, it's been years, like 7 years. And most people don't want to know shit. We talk about fake news, but the real issue is actual information that people don't want to take in. So what I really love about this book, and it's published by Microcosm, which is a fantastic local publisher. That's where you should actually get it. I do have copies of it over here for sale. But what I like about this book is most people that read it are never going to perpetrate journalism. But most people aren't. They're going to go away understanding what the fuck is in it. Hello.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Your newspaper doesn't have a label on it. You don't know what the hell's in there.
And they might think a little bit about being able to craft, for instance, a Facebook post with some ideas from here. They might have a different idea of how to better communicate, perhaps, the news that they're experiencing around them, even though it might not show up in a full-on, maybe a blog post or a video or whatever.
One of my favorite parts of this book is the fact-checking chapter, but I also like the part about what is information. We don't even all agree on what the hell that shit is. You know, and as we're talking about this, here's the thing. I worked at the scanner for years. Cops, love them, okay? Did you know that police officers are writers? They're all writers. Have you ever read a police report? Oh, Nelly, okay? There was this one case I was covering, and the police report, I mean, I'm putting this out, okay? The whole fucking thing was a lie. But it was a police report. So technically, it's true. Right? Unless there's a lawsuit in which the person that is lied about wins, and then suddenly it's not true. You understand what I mean? What is information? What counts as information? I love that part, just thinking about what it is. Boy, I mean, cop reports. I feel like everybody should read police reports, honestly. And there aren't a lot of great cops out there. I want to be crystal clear about it. But we have to figure that shit out. And it's funny when you think of who the writers are.
How does one go about with just finding the police reports in the first place? Those are public information, yes?
I'd say they were. So we live in the state of Oregon. Some people might call it Oregon, but we live in the state of Oregon. Oregon has some of the worst Freedom of Information Act laws in the entire country. So I don't know if you track this, but we just had a gnarly court case in which I'll be really nice and say some judge I want to say, was it in Washington County? It was in a rural county. I would describe that as a rural county. Basically ruled that a teenager who was trying to get information from their local city council, the teenager, he's just this really interesting young person. He wanted to know what the people on the city council were texting to each other. That's totally public record. During the meeting, all these people were out there, they're texting back and forth, right? And the judge said, no, you can't have these municipal records unless I'm going to screw this part up, unless the public official is using that information currently in approvable policy issues, some crazy random vague shit, right? There's something like, I want to say there's close to 500 exceptions in the state of Oregon to our Freedom of Information Act laws. And Freedom of Information Act, I mean, that normally, if you lived in Seattle, they put the police reports online. They tweet some of them, right? Other places, you can just, have you ever heard this phrase, Florida man?
Right.
You follow Florida man on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
You should. The reason that we have this sense of Florida man, a crazy white guy always, is because Florida has awesome Freedom of Information Act rules. You can get that info, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Oregon, you can't. That's why so many people move here. They have no idea how fucked up we are. Can I say that? They have no idea.
So, since you bring that up, is there efforts going on to adjust that,
Makes me cranky, honey. It really makes me cranky. There's a couple of organizations, God bless their little hearts, and no, we don't do sweet fuck all. And I love them, and I love you if you're listening right now. I'm not even going to name you. No, I'm looking at you now.
So, tell me about, since we're talking about it, what's the Agora Center at University of Oregon?
The University of Oregon is an incredible institution. It's really large. The Agora Center is the part that's at the White Stag building. If you're going across the Burnside Bridge, one of my favorites, although it's really hard to travel now. You're going across the Burnside Bridge and you see the White Stag, it's in there. So Agora is it's like a Greek word that means community. So the Agora Center is an innovation center where people come there and they just try to figure shit out. And no one's figuring out the FOIA thing. That's probably going to be a great big ass lawsuit, something like that, really in the end. And journalists don't do stuff like that, or really sort of don't. But Agora Center is an innovation center with an incredible staff, and they bring people from all over the United States to figure out what's wrong in journalism and how to fix it. And there was just the most fascinating gathering there about 2 months ago, and it's part of I want to say the experience engagement community of people who are from all over the United States, journalists, radio, print, all kinds of things. And they come together to try to figure out why journalism's failing. I don't know if you know this. It is failing. Media outlets all over the country, every media outlet in America is on unstable footing. Every single damn one. Facebook doesn't count. Facebook is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great big antitrust thing, just like the past turn of the century, just like the first of journalism and stuff. Facebook is the one you have to watch out for, I think. But anyway, University of Oregon, Agora Center. Where was I? I talked too much. I was talking about this thing. So you got these people together. They had this really interesting gathering. They were going to try to talk about diversity in communities. And yeah, I'm talking about this in public, and I know you're hearing me right now. I love you too. But it's mostly white people that came to this gathering that were invited, and then we invited people of color from out of the community to talk to the white people who were the reporters to just talk about what is engagement. What are the mistakes you make as a white reporter with communities of color? How do you do it? And the people of color in the room, a couple of people said, "Wait a minute, who the fuck are you? What is this? You're all white. What? The whole thing turned into something else. And at the end, all those journalists came together, and this blew my fucking mind. They decided that the big lesson they learned is that the future of journalism can only take place if the journalists in the newsrooms give up power. Give up power. And knock me over with a feather. We've been talking about that for years.
Right.
And that's what we have to do.
So speaking of giving up power, like when I was a kid, I used to be able to pick up Just Out or Lavender Network, and there was so much of my power. I could relate to things when there wasn't an internet to be able to connect all of us in the LGBT community. And I know that there are outlets online that have, in some aspects, replaced that. But I don't know where I would go as a youngster today to get good quality information about what's happening in the LGBT community. Is that possible that that will come back in media? What do we have to do in order to create that space?
I'm going to say this straight out. None of us knows where we're going to be getting news 5 years from now. None of us knows where we're going to be getting news 10 years from now, right? The beauty of Just Out, I used to work at the Portland Alliance. It's just a few blocks away from here. It was created by nonprofit organizations in the 70s because the Oregonian didn't cover any of their work, okay? Does anyone remember the first time the Oregonian actually covered the Queer Pride March without being assholes about it? It was in the 80s. I remember that. People had to protest to them. People had to protest the Oregonian. And when people threw down, the next year, the Oregonian actually printed the route and interviewed people with, woo! It was just like this. So what are we going to do? How do we do that? It used to be that we would all come to these publications and they were like a well of water. We all drank the same water. And so we kind of knew the same things. And so here came Facebook, right? And you could say, well, the internet did that too. Sure, Facebook super duper specifically, I want to say 5 years ago, rolled out these different kinds of initiatives around media that forced media outlets to participate with them, forced them to. Even the New York fucking Times, but all of them, really. And then like last year before that, a few years later, Facebook like, you know what, not so much. And all these media outlets were crippled, basically, by that. Facebook actually, they stirred up the pot and damaged our actual media landscape, and that was before they met promotions. I'm not getting into that. But so, I mean, I hope somebody who is not a journalist, someone who's a real innovator, is just going to pick up this simple thing, read through it, have a bunch of ideas, and go, I have an idea, I know. Audio, visual, digital suppositories. That's the future. Whatever the fuck it is. We have got to bring more people into this fold that are not being shoved through the extruder of the university programs. For real. Because when you have people coming out with $50,000 debt, I know people that get a master's degree in journalism, $100,000 debt, are drunk in the daytime. They can't do stuff like this. They have to get any job they can. But we need people to figure this out. I wish I could tell you.
Well, and one of the easiest things that you helped me learn, the very first little homework assignment that I had, was you pointed up to a couple of women in your office that you had photos of, and you said, remember, Joe, you're writing for those two ladies. Who are those two ladies?
You're getting me all my feelings then. It's my grandma Louise and my Aunt Shirley. You're just pulling all the old ladies out of our minds here. Yeah, I come from white trash. My family's white trash, 13 generations for real. Hillbillies, bootleggers, God knows what. And a couple of cool people too. But the point that I was making was, when you're creating journalism, when you're baking some journalism up, you need to know who you're talking to. And our audience was real people like your grandma.
Right.
That's the point. You're not talking to Ted Wheeler. Don't laugh, it's not funny. You're not talking to somebody that knows what sanguine means. You're talking to us. That was the point. And also just bringing into us, journalism is relational. It's about our relationships. It's not transactional. It's not, hey, you do this for me and I'll put your picture in the paper. That's not how it works. It's our relations to each other. Think about Just Out. It was very relational.
Right. And something that I think is really important about this show, why there's a community, why we have an audience here, is because we can come together and actually talk about things like this that are happening in our community and see in real time that this is happening, because we're going to see this on the local news. Now, we have seen you at Powell's. You had a speaking engagement there a couple of weeks ago.
I was so excited. I was at Powell's. It was June 2nd. They put my name on the marquee. I'm like, I can die now. It's fine. I can die now. It's fine. It's a big ass deal. It was, and I've got a 10 engagement tour of the West Coast coming up.
This is so exciting.
It's crazy exciting. So I'm going to be going next Friday to Roundabout Books in Bend. Right? Can you imagine bringing journalism out to places where, the Bend Bulletin, some of those newspapers out in Eastern Oregon have just been completely flipped. They were sold. Every time one of our newspapers, these are what are called legacy newspapers, or the one, KBOO is a legacy media outlet. People that have been there doing this stuff for generations, that's called legacy, right? And we're pulling up the roots of the legacy organizations, and in some ways that's good, really. In some ways that's probably good. But what do we have to take the place of it? Right? So my wonderful friend Kay, she's setting up the Mississippi Farm Table. There's a weekly event at Mississippi Avenue. Well, 10 years ago, you would have done a feature on that. Mm-hmm. They would have sent the photographers. Someone would have been tasting the pickles. I know the pickles were good. I heard they were spicy. Mississippi. It's things like that that are the fabric of our communities that we can't lose. Mm-hmm. Because we're all struggling, and we're not alone. We're not. Right. But we think we're in a bubble. And God, Portland is a dismal bubble. Seriously. I love you, town, but wow. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's another thing about my real Portland. I'm poking some holes in that bubble. So, what else do I have on my question that I wanted to ask you? Another good thing about this podcast. Got this little moment out. What's on your mind, Christian?
I've been listening to you guys talk for a while, and I had a question about one word. You keep saying, what is a newspaper?
There were these things, and they came from trees.
Is that similar to Twitter?
No, it's dead. It's made out of a dead tree. And so we used to print words on them, but what was brilliant about newspaper, you could roll it up and smack people with it. You could. It could be a dog, it could be your kid, it could be your spouse. I'm putting that out. But newspapers, right? I swear. You know what's funny, like talking about newspapers? We used to use the newspaper itself in so many ways. And now, you can't even line my cat box with a Milano. I'm not saying that's what I do with it. But there's some great people over there too. There's great people everywhere you look. But yeah, right?
Do people really, y'all really miss newspapers? No? Yeah? People miss newspapers? Y'all just miss having like a stack of paper to get your news? Yeah?
Yes. You mean the actual dead tree part? Because it is digital now.
It's like, oh man, I really want to know what happened in the election last night, but I need to kill a shrub for that to happen.
That is an interesting moment, though, that we're at, because for 500 years, the exchange of printed paper was the biggest way that we exchanged information. Just last week, candidate for Portland Mayor, Teresa Rayford, handed me a book, How to Be a Non-Racist. And I can't just go hand somebody my Kindle or just easily send somebody a blog and expect that they're going to read it and have the same impact.
You don't have to read a book either, though. If you hand me a book, cool. I'm not going to read it.
Can I just say something about that, though?
No, I'm going to read it. I do like to read. Reading school. I'm just saying, you can ignore a blog post just as easily as you can ignore a picture of a piece of paper. I'm just saying, equally ignorable.
I just want to address that, though, because it is so interesting. We lose our history so fast in our culture. We don't give a shit about history, but it impacts us all the damn time. And there's a fantastic book called News for All the People. It was written by the co-host of Democracy Now!, Juan Gonzalez, and another dude. And it's sort of the hidden history of news. And in the colonies of the United States, what was the language of the first newspaper printed in the world? It was Spanish. The first printing press was in South America. But the second printing press, what languages did it print? English and Spanish. It was in New Orleans. Fascinating. And see, the way newspapers came just like blogs, I swear. It's just like what's happening now with the internet, which is something to think about. And you should check out this book, News for All the People. But see, it used to be, and I want to say in the 1600s, 1700s, you didn't want to be here then. I'm putting that as well. But people, anyone who had a printing press was printing stuff for their community, and then they thought, hey, you know what? We can do news. And actually, there was all kinds of little newspapers by communities of color in all kinds of languages back in those days. It was more like the blog system now, except you couldn't roll it up. You can't roll up a blog and smack someone with it. I have seen Ted Wheeler smacked by a blog and take it all back.
I've seen people throw their phones in reading a negative blog post, so that can happen. And it's much more expensive than actually just hitting somebody with a newspaper. So you're going to be going on book tour. You've got 10 stops coming up. You're going to be 3 days in Redding, California.
I'm so stoked about fucking Redding! Redding! So the community access television station in Redding is going to have a 3-day like journalism palooza, right? And I'm going to be there all these days. They're opening up their whole place to everyone in the town, everyone in the region. They're having bad forest fires right now, by the way. So that's something that people could be covering. But they're going to open up their studios. Anyone can come, right? This blows my mind. And then they're going to hand out a certificate. It's not just their volunteers that are welcome. It's anyone.
Wow.
That's what I said.
That's very cool.
And I think I need to get to speak to the League of Women Voters too, which is really exciting. I think it's exciting. I also have Annie Bloom's books locally coming up. I think that's in October. So on my book of face, I hate Facebook. Look, I'm actually plugging Facebook now. Shit. No, I know. Go to my website. I have a website. Yeah, street-journalist.com, and it's got my full booking tour there. But I've got 2 dates in San Francisco, 1 in Seattle, a couple in Portland. I've got Ben. It's really exciting, actually.
That is
honestly.
so cool.
And Sacramento. So my mom, Betty, she's 88. Betty can come. All of my 90-year-old aunties and my nieces and nephews. So that's really special.
Very sweet. So that sound means it's time for our second Portland questionnaire. What was that? Okay. What's your favorite smell in Portland?
You know, I encountered this thing called mock orange. Does anyone know this thing? It is a shrub where we're just trashing shrubs. It smelled incredible. It smelled like roses and spices all mixed together. But really, actually, I do love that first rain smell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, today.
What do you mean the first rain? When does the rain stop? In order to begin again?
I don't know. I got some burns. I don't know.
What's your favorite sound in Portland?
I really love the trains. I can't sleep at night. I sit there. There's a lot of crazy train shit going on too. I live in Northeast, and then there's I think I mentioned this earlier when I arrived. I have a next door problem, right? And so yeah, it's kind of addictive. I'm trying to get rid of other addictions, and I'm picking up addictions I had no idea were ones. And so on Nextdoor, they'll have people posting about what was that sound last night.
Oh.
It was 2 nights ago. And someone got so fucking pissed off, their husband got in a car at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was the security alarm of some industrial business there. It was I love you.
Oh my god. What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
I do like the Burnside. It's real screwed up now. It hurts me what they do. Who's they? But it does hurt me what's happened to the Burnside Bridge. But I don't know why, but it is my favorite.
Me too, and it makes me a little sad.
Remember the Burnside Cadillac? There used to be so many things that happened on Burnside. Anybody ever heard of the Burnside Cadillac? It was the first houseless person newspaper, right?
I don't remember that.
Way predated Street Roots, which is one of the best papers around. Street Roots, you should read it every time you get the chance. But the Burnside Cadillac, does anybody know what a Burnside Cadillac is? It's the 21st goddamn century. It's a fucking shopping cart. That's a Burnside Cadillac. Burnside, that was the, you know, actually I think there might even have been another newspaper that predated them. Which kind of goes back to, if it's on a dead shrub, is anybody even going to remember it later?
No.
I will.
Good.
It's
in the art.
My Facebook reminds me once a year exactly what I did on that year, every year, so keeping history alive.
the important fact. What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet? You probably met the ones that are most important to you.
Do you know Princess Funches? Princess Funches.
No.
I've never met her. I heard she's really cool. She's his cousin? Mom Funches' cousin, his sister? That's a cool family. They really are awesome. Maybe Princess Funches.
Okay. That's a fantastic answer, one that we have.
There's so many great people in this town. They're not the famous ones. But you know what I mean? I should say we aren't the famous ones.
Exactly. We are the famous ones right now because we're up on stage. Where are we most likely to find you for a weekend brunch?
I'm a cave dweller. I don't go out very often. I make really great coffee. Sometimes I have people over for lunch. I think of it as brunch. It's like a breakfast lunch thing. There's some really good food in this town. You know what? I know. How about Corn of Africa? Because they've got these pumpkin donuts now. I've only been there for dinner, but now I see they only have breakfast and lunch, and I'm definitely heading over there.
Right.
Corn of Africa.
Those look delicious.
Yeah, MLK.
What was this?
Corn of Africa?
What?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was just gathering myself. Or maybe I was pretending to look at my phone, which is thankfully okay. You know what? Yeah, I was
Imaginary
pretending to look at my
note
phone.
cards.
I was like, wait, anyway, that was really scary.
If you could rename any Portland street, which street and who would you name it for?
I'm kind of tired of Broadway. I mean, I love Broadway. I'm kind of tired of it. Who would I name it for? I have the best cat. His name is Peapod Man. Why couldn't we rename Broadway after Peapod Man? He's very compelling, just as compelling as some of the other jokers out here. I'm sorry, that was rude. I named it after my cat, and his name is Peapod Man.
Were you afraid you were going to offend jokers?
No, I was afraid I was going to lose control of my mouth, though.
Oh.
I say the wrong thing about the wrong people, really, unless it's Ted Wheeler.
I agree on that, and Broadway. Last question, if you were a tree, which Portland park would you want to be planted in?
That's a good one. Mount Tabor Park is awesome, but if you went to Forest Park, it would be awesome, and this is going to sound wrong, but you'd be in the middle of a big tree sex thing. Forest Park, out there, that, you just have more going on. You just get more. I'm not saying that's what's on my mind or anything.
All of the different species,
Yeah.
all of the
Just
different.
get down over at Forest Park.
Like
You know they do it. They're
Oh, I
doing
thought
it
that
over
was
there.
some sort of botanical phrase I wasn't aware of, but you mean
No.
the trees literally.
They're exchanging pollen, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd say Forest Park.
Okay, cool.
Irving Park also was good at Forest Park.
I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Lisa Loving. Okay, so My Real Portland is brought to you by me, Joseph Lyons, realtor in the streets, podcaster in the sheets. I help home buyers and sellers across the Portland metro area make their real dreams become real estate. Learn more about me at josephlyons.com. All right. So this is Do You Speak? So this is Do You Speak British? Who thinks they know things about Portland bridges? Lisa knows something about Portland bridges. Come on up to the stage again. Who else? Who else is going to join us on stage? Someone over from this side of the room? No, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, right here, right at the bar. I couldn't see you. Come on up. All right. So,
Volunteer. Grab a mic. I'm going to grab the mic from Christian.
Shouldn't have regret this at all.
not at all. Okay, have a seat.
Oh gosh, you're right.
Okay, let's make sure that your mics work. Okay, so this is Do You Speak British? You're going to get 5 clues about a bridge. If you correctly guess the bridge on the first clue, you'll get all 5 points. If you need all 5 clues to guess the correct bridge, then you'll get 1 point. So the first...
It's kind of like name that tune.
Exactly. So the first of you who thinks you know it, just go ahead and blurt it out. Now the other one will be able to call in with the same answer, or wait to hear more clues and call in with a different answer. Now I'm going to need somebody to
My
take
name's Lisa. What's your name?
points.
Austin.
What was that?
Austin, like Texas.
Austin and Lisa, fantastic. All right, so now the winner is going to receive all of the fabulous flags that I had shown in the beginning of the show, including the My Little Pint Glass. You'll also win tickets to the next 7 Deadly Sins at the White Eagle. You'll win tickets to the next Telltale PDX at the Chapel Theater in Milwaukee, and tickets to our Bold Voices, which is this September 14th. All right, Lisa and Austin, are you ready for your first clue? All right, originally painted black. The Hunted Movie is your second clue, The Hunted Movie. Automated bike counter. Hawthorne Bridge, Austin rings in with. Lisa, would you want to call in with that or wait to hear more?
I think you're right.
Okay, so you're both on for 3 points. Also, the oldest car crossing existing and to replace the Madison Street Bridge, it is the Hawthorne. So you both have 3 points. I hope somebody is counting because I am not going to. Math and reading and a microphone happening. Oh, thank you so much, Camille, with complimentary colors is helping us out. Okay, bridge number 2, clue number 1, Oregon Rail Heritage Center. Lighting based on the river temperature and flow is your second clue. Tillicum, all right. Lisa?
I gotta give that to you. I just have to give it. I don't deserve any points. You
That's all. No, that's all right. You both are going in with 4 points.
Were you going to ask about what that bridge should have been called? Was that one of the questions?
Well, guess what? The citizens wanted it named Kirk Reeves, right?
Working Kirk's Bridge.
That's right. Everyone know who Kirk Reeves was? He was a street musician at the end of the Hawthorne Bridge for a bazillion years.
But the thing is, the TriMet did a caption, they did a contest to name that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And Working Kirk is what won. And then they chose the name that sounds like a dirty thing. People giggle when they drive by it.
Oh,
I mean,
It's named after a murderous whale. That's fantastic.
Right on. Right on.
So also, supposedly, the People's Bridge and the second newest crossing, the Tillicum, it was also known for a short while as the John Luke Picard Bridge. Remember that?
I sort of do.
Yeah. Okay, bridge
Wasn't he the
number...
Kennewick man? John
Right.
Luke Picard was the Kennewick man. Never mind.
Okay, bridge number 3. Clandestine skate park was found there in March. No. Interesting, you're both losing points on this one.
Oh.
Longest suspension span west of Detroit. Greenpeace protesters, Highway 30 in Cathedral Park. It's the St. John's Bridge. Now in March, they found a clandestine bike park in the middle of the big tower thing that's at the base of the bridge near Cathedral Park. There was a whole skate park set up in there. Okay. Bridge number 4. Oregon Lottery bungee jump commercial. Lisa's on the board for 5 points with the Fremont Bridge. We'll keep going. Tanner Creek. Did you want to ring in, by the way?
No, it's gonna
No, okay. Replace the Ford Street Bridge. Ford Street Bridge? Anyone heard of that? Council Crest or Suicide Bridge?
I cannot remember the name of the bridge. I can see them on my eyes.
Nobody.
Wait, did they put the
They put guardrails around. Yes, it's the Vista Street Bridge. They used to be the Ford Street Bridge. Can you imagine that? We had streetcars going across that bridge until 1955.
That's not a bridge over water, right? It's a bridge over road.
Well, it's over Tanner Creek, which is in a
it's
tunnel,
the-
which is
It's the Clear Park? No, that's a different one.
well, what's interesting is they call that Tanner Creek, and I don't understand how they're both named Tanner Creek, right? It doesn't make much sense. But it's all in the tunnel now, so all in the sewer tunnel. Okay, here's your 5th bridge. It's 1,976 feet long.
I-205?
You're losing points again. Shoe Fly Bridge It's seismically resilient.
Fremont?
The Fremont, no, you're both going to lose this. It's our newest crossing of Tacoma Street. It's the Selwood Bridge. The Shoe Fly Bridge was when the temporary bridge was over to the side, we were building the new one. That's called the Shoe Fly Bridge. Okay, bridge number 6, protested by the Portland Arts Commission. Daytona 500 in the middle of July, in the middle of the city, is what Vera Katz called it. Ramp Stubs. It's also the name of a hill. No words from the audience. Thank you very much.
I'm stumped on
You are, and objectively, Portland's ugliest bridge.
Martin?
The Markham is correct. Austin jumps out ahead.
I know it when I see it.
Okay, and that made me happy that was the clue that got it, actually. I was happy writing that one. Okay, here's your last bridge. And Lisa, you're going to have to come in with the win because Austin is in the lead, I think. Exactly.
Yes.
Untraceable with Diane Lane. Foxfire with Angelina Jolie. Golden Gate Red or International Orange.
The Broadway.
The Broadway is possibly correct.
Isn't that the one, the other clue is the one that me and my daughter made out of gingerbread for her 3rd grade class?
Well, that's not on here, but it ended at Northwest 7th Avenue originally, if that makes you happy. And it's the world's longest double-leaf rail-type fast fuel bridge. It's the Broadway, which means Austin is our winner. Give it up to Austin. You won the My Real Portland Pint Glass and a bunch of tickets and a bunch of swag. Congratulations. Now we're all resetting real quick. Okay. While we bring complementary colors up to the stage, we'll be cutting this part of the show out. We're going to get them all set up so that we make sure that we're recording and I'll give them a quick introduction and we'll get going with the show. So, please welcome to the stage a lovely folk pop duo that is a Portland original. They are complementary colors, Camille Rose and Ashley Elizabeth.
Hi, y'all. If you don't know me yet, I'm Camille Rose, and I'm Ashley Elizabeth. This song is called Not Coping Well.
against you, couldn't tell. I'm not coping well, just against you, couldn't tell. Maybe we're not invisible.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, complimentary colors. So, Neil, Ashley, how are you coping?
I'm pretty well today.
Pretty well today.
It's a nice thing about writing yourself a little song for when you're not coping well, because it helps you cope better on the really shitty days.
Which one of you wrote that, or was that co-written?
That was Neil Rose here. Yeah, I wrote that in the middle of the night one night. You know, it's interesting. You hit this point in your late 20s, early 30s, where mortality really starts to catch up with you. Whether it's your own health or, for me, in this circumstance, it was largely the health of the people around me. Really close friends of mine going to the hospital and dying, and like people that I considered age group peers. And all of a sudden it hit me all in 1 week, of course, because that's the way the universe always does it, right? Oh, you need to learn a lesson? Let's make sure you know the whole thing right the fuck now. And that's kind of how that appeared to me. I ended up 3 a.m. sitting on my bedroom floor, writing that song, just weeping, because I didn't know what the hell else to do, you know? And I think that the biggest gift that that song's given me is that other people just kind of cry with me when they hear it. And I have friends text me all the time now that we've got it out and released. They're like, dude, I was listening to Not Coping Well and not coping well, man. And that's kind of exactly what it's for, you know? Like providing a safe space for myself, but everybody else too.
It's absolutely affirmation and immediately made me feel at home, but also knew that there must have been a story in the song.
Oh yeah, there always is.
So there's this quote on your website: "If our music were a unicorn," Ashley insists it's a
its favorite color would be marigold yellow. And you know, what is wrong with my handwriting?
Were you not coping well when you wrote it?
I was going to profess, I can read it now. And see, again, what's so fun, the audience listeners at home are going to have no idea.
I
You
have
guys
no
are
idea we
just
had this
having-
conversation.
And Camille is similarly convinced that it would be electric blue, marigold yellow, and electric blue. Complementary colors, right?
Very close to. Actually, the complementary colors are the ones we're wearing tonight. We did blue and orange tonight. I know you can't see that if you're listening to the podcast, but I got these fantastic new blue pants and I just had to go for it. Usually I'm in dresses, and I was like, no. But yeah, it's funny with that question was actually asked of us by our friends over at Side Alley Sundays, which is a really excellent video series. They've been on hiatus, but they're going to get back to it. That records only local Portland acts.
Awesome.
And usually releases the videos on a Sunday. I think that they're getting ready to expand their format, but that's beside the point. When we did a Side Alley Sundays video, we were sent a questionnaire. And one of the questions was, if you had a unicorn and it had a favorite color, what would the unicorn's favorite color be? And so, of course, we just spit back and forth at each other. No, it's definitely my favorite color. We toyed with the idea of rainbow, but that seemed too obvious,
Too
right?
obvious. You just can't cheating. That's lazy. Just saying the rainbow.
But that was my thought, actually.
It's cheating.
It is
I
cheating.
mean, it's just too obvious. Of course, their favorite color is the rainbow.
Now, speaking of the rainbow, you have with us on your table the complementary colors, like logo. What is this? I love it, by the way.
It's our new aesthetic.
It's got like a couple batteries here, you just push a button, and it's rainbow, fantastic business.
It's beautiful.
We've been looking for a good t-shirt design, and we got ourselves these silly little lights, because when you're selling merch at a show, it's really hard to get people to notice your merch table. It's the weirdest phenomenon. It's like they're looking for places to find your stuff, but magically they can't find it no matter what you do unless you like put neon signs to it. And so we put neon signs to it. We found that little rainbow today, and I realized that's our upcoming t-shirt logo and sticker design. So keep your eyes open for that, I guess.
We should get a Batman's light to signal in the sky.
It's just CC rainbows. Yeah, I'm into it.
They'll just go back and forth, and people go, "What's that over there?" You should go check it out.
happening? Speaking of what's happening, you play lots of different musical instruments in your group. What's your inspiration for that? Have you always just played with unusual instruments?
Unless you count chopsticks as drumsticks. In the past, before meeting Camille, no. Camille made me brave, and I do songs and stuff in front of people now, which wasn't the case before.
You can tell I coached her on this end.
So I was like, what if I get too awkward and I freeze up and I don't say anything? Yeah, well. Now it's just word vomit.
I have played musical instruments since I was about 8 years old. I got talked into it because I was singing in a music class, and my music teacher, I lived in Butte, Montana at the time, and I don't know if you know much about Butte, but Butte is an old mining town. It's got lots of really rich history, especially on the hill in Uptown Butte. And in Uptown Butte, in 1995, they decided to renovate the Fox Theater and turn it into what is now known as the Motherlode Theater. And it's one of the most beautiful, pristine arch theaters I've ever seen. And my music teacher said, hey, you're going to come audition for the first ever musical at this theater. And I'm going to give you piano lessons. So I was like, oh, apparently I'm going to do that now. I lived out on a ranch 15 miles out of town, and that was far from my parents' mind of what I was going to do. And so that kind of began my varying off the beaten path of what was expected of me, I suppose. And, right, I never got very good at any one instrument until I hurt myself a few years back. I was always a competitive vocalist and theater performer and whatever, but I hurt my shoulder. I had a stack of beer kegs fall on me, actually, if you can believe it.
Oh my God.
Job. Yeah, I had a stack of beer kegs fall on me, and so I was out of work for 7
Way
months.
to bum a crowd out.
I'm not trying, I'm just telling the story. Everybody likes a good origin story, Joseph. So, my origin story is I got some kegs that fell on me, and I couldn't work. It wasn't like I was crippled or anything, I was just couldn't work. And so I had 7 whole months to teach myself how to play ukulele, and it kind of went from there. I decided then and there that I was going to learn whatever small, easy instrument I could to be a vehicle for my voice, because I was sick of trying to find other people to play instruments for me, you know? I'm sick of letting other people do things for me, particularly fucking men. I'm sorry, no offense to the men in the room, but god damn! I tell you what, if I had $1 for every man that told me he wanted me to be in his band and be his star, and then tried to fuck me instead of respect my autonomy as a woman, I'm just saying. So, that's my one. I got fired up, you guys. I'm sorry. That's some bullshit. And so I decided I'd learn tiny instruments, and then I met her on our first date. I taught her a song on the ukulele, and since then I've been forcing her into learning tiny instruments too. Ask her about some of the weird ones.
Well, we do typewriters. One of the most uncommon that we do is we use it as like a percussion instrument, and one of our songs is called The Letter.
I love it.
So she goes, I have an idea. We're going to get a typewriter and you're going to play it. Do you think you can do that? And I was like, okay, I don't know, but let's do it. And it turned out great. It's awesome.
And she did.
I'm right.
That is fantastic. So, so random instruments and being able to.
Yeah.
Now, you had said something, that's my wife, you said it very quietly. Now, the last I read about you online was that you were engaged. Are you now married?
Oh yeah. We've been married for a year as of August 25th.
Man, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
I was actually feeling really anxious because we got here and I'd been dyeing my hair earlier and realized I had left my ring at home. I was so excited to show them to you too. They match and everything. It's a whole thing. But I'm sure we'll send you pictures and you can put it on your website or something so that people can see the gorgeous work that our friends at Faye's Jewelry did custom for us, actually.
Love it. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time with you. We want to do the Portland questionnaire, and then we'll have 2 more songs with you before we close out the show. So, are you ready for the Portland questionnaire?
I think so.
So, what is your favorite smell in Portland?
Food. You ever grow up in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere? It's
Food
awful.
visit.
The food, unless you cook it at your own house, the food is not anything to write home about. So when I come here and I walk out and I'm like, oh, I smell pho, I smell Indian food, I smell ramen, I have like delicious pizza that actually tastes like delicious pizza. I'm a foodie, that's me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For me, it's gotta be, everybody loves the smell of the rain in Portland, right? Because we have to get used to it or whatever. I really love the rain, but I particularly love the rain on my tomato plants. That's such a fucking white person thing to say, but for the first time ever, I've come from not having a lot of space to call my own, and for the first time for the last 2 years, we've had garden space, and we've grown as many tomatoes as we possibly could. I shit you not, we have 5 tomato plants.
And there is no tomato that is as delicious as you've grown
comes
your own.
out of your garden, and there's a smell, that specific smell from the tomato stuff. That's what's up.
Love it. Okay, what is your favorite sound in Portland?
Trains. I love trains. It's not just Portland, it's everywhere but trains. Yeah, it makes me really happy.
This is a weird one. The ice cream truck. I grew up in a place where I could not get an ice cream truck anywhere near me. We have a great one in our neighborhood, but I know it's such a silly, bizarre thing.
I can't open my window during the summer.
Oh, I love it.
2 hours in the afternoon is constant.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah.
ours is really nice. He just goes through and he's gone.
Oh, that
And
would
you
be
can't hear him around the next block for another 45 minutes. It's
That would be
perfect.
lovely.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal. What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
St. John's.
St. John's. We got married underneath the St. John's Bridge, so we're partial.
Could you imagine if only one of you had the answer, St. John's?
I would choose the steel bridge because I like how the walking part is under and you're close to the water, and I just think it looks cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet?
Ursula K. Le Guin.
Mm-hmm.
Desperately. I'm so sad. I actually got this close to getting to meet her because in a past Portland life, I was doing Talking Earth, the radio show down in KBO. And so I got this close to getting to meet her because of that, and it was right before she passed away. So heartbroken, but so happy.
Y'all know the Decemberists?
Oh, yeah.
Music? Yeah. Okay, well,
Of course.
I would meet them and just be just talk to me about your experience of going through Portland. I know it's going to be a totally different experience because every year is different,
Right.
but yeah, I would just love to hear, sit down and chill with them and just talk about that.
Fun fact about them, they actually got their origins in Montana. Colin Malloy, the lead singer and kind of brain genius of the Decemberists, is originally from Helena, Montana, and went to the same university as I did in Missoula.
Oh, small world.
It's very small.
And so now, two very famous Portland musicians now from Montana. Where are we most likely to find you for weekend brunch?
It depends on
Midpoint.
midpoint.
We're not supposed to talk about Midpoint, but I have to give them a shout out.
Why are you
The
not supposed to
former,
talk about Midpoint?
because it's our best kept secret in Portland.
Oh!
Yeah.
The
That's
former,
okay, no one listens to this podcast.
oh, perfect. I mean, we do, so that's fine. The former owners of Dots, or part of the former management team of Dots, owns this really cool, kind of strip mall-y looking
It looks
spot.
like a sports bar on the
Yeah,
outside.
you're
I
like,
don't want to.
I would never go there.
If you're not in a sports
And you
bar.
walk in and it's the greatest spot
It's like
ever.
my grandmother's kitchen. There's all these tiny
So
things.
good.
There's rows of half a cup of coffee, it's sliced in half.
I'll
And
tell
they
you
put it up
what.
against the wall, and there's here's your half. So there's 30 of them, and there's tiny rocking chairs everywhere. It's just.
I'll tell you, it's off Powell. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's still within the realm of inner southeast-ish, but you have to find it for yourself. You got Google. Come on now.
It's going to be on my list. That sounds fantastic. And
The food is so
I
good.
miss Dots.
With gigantic portions for Midwest bellies.
If you could rename any Portland street, which street would you rename?
This is the hard question.
I don't really have one that I don't know if I'd rename one. Coaches, it just makes me, the bad ones, they just make me giggle. There's one in Northeast, there's one that's right next to the other, it's called Coming and Going, and it just cracks me up because it makes me think of, what's that movie with that kid that's from Auckland that has a Hawaii license?
Oh, I can't remember. From Superbad. I don't know.
Yes, anyway, there's a joke in there that I can't remember
There's a
because I
bad
got
joke.
distracted and forgot, but.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, and it's just stupid idiot stuff, is naming 42nd, Third Avenue or something stupid like that, just because it's so Portland, you know? And,
Random.
yeah.
So, if you were a tree, which Portland Park would you like to be planted in?
Laurelhurst, hands down. Laurelhurst Park saved my life during a really dark time when I first got here 8 years ago. Laurelhurst, hands down. I'm gonna give other people a hand in that one.
I like Portland.
Cathedral Park.
Mm-hmm.
We got married right next to it, and it's also just really cool. I like being down by the water. water person, so it makes me happy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, you got a couple more songs in here?
Yeah, we sure do.
Let's close out the show, ladies and gentlemen, Complimentary Colors.
I'm going to sing you a little bit of a tune, or I'm going to sing you, Ashley's going to play you sing through a little bit of a tune about our concerns about our world and country right now. Things don't seem to be so good. And I'm trying to turn my music a little bit more toward activism. Even if that means that I yell super quickly in my voice. This song's called Fever Pitch. Its name is not recorded yet.
We're reaching a fever pitch. The stories they told us are crumbling. Everyone feels the run before us are tumbling down, 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 down the side of the dark down. So where's my shield and sword? I'm so damn poor I cannot afford to pay attention. They sold me in a hurry, better not take time to worry. Better grab your shit and prove it, 'cause so it's all going down, down, down. It seems we're reaching the end. So playing chicken with my 16 while the eagles in charge pretend that they own the moon. The situation on me, and the ways that we stand in the mouth, we don't see the evil that's sending us, sending us, sending us slow. It's sending us down, down, down. Tangled up, fighting each other. It's a matter of time before we turn around and go to. Don't you know that we can find a way above the bricks of rock, spread the love. All they need's a little shoving. Oh, they're all going down, 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 da 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 down, 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 down. Waiting, waiting to watch them go down, 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 down. Let's sing along. Down, 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 down. All right,
friends. We have one more tune for you. And this one definitely requires some participation from the audience.
Yay!
Patty cake.
Oh yes, it is. Affectionately known as the Patty Cake song. And my turds are wangled tonight. Affectionately known as the Patty Cake song. This song is called Don't You Tell Me. And you may not be able to totally hear it on the podcast, but here in person, everybody's going to see that we are playing patty cake throughout the entire song. And there is one word that goes throughout the entire song, and that word is no. Repeat after me. No.
No.
Rude. Why would you have to argue with me? If you would like to sing along with us, you just sing that word no. You'll hear how it goes real quick. If you feel really brave, get yourself a patty cake partner. This is Don't You Tell Me. Don't you tell me not to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Complementary Colors. Please give it up for my other guest colleagues, Kareem, Windham, and Lisa Loving. Give it a hand for yourself. It's been a great honor.